So when I press play, I see that if I press the W key, it goes up, then S goes down, then right and left, and it's okay, but I have no animation, so I need to add that right now. And in order to do that, I need to create the animation controller's variables. Now, I already have the animation controller. It's here inside the man1 under animator controller. It's right here. So I can just double click on it here or there, and that will automatically open it in the animator window right here. If not, you can always go to window and look for the animator and it will appear just right there. Now, as you can see, there isn't much going on, so we'll have to create that. First of all, we'll have to add states to this. If you look inside of the assets folder, you will see the man_1 folder and plenty of animations here. Okay, so let's locate one animation that says idle. So that's when the character is not moving. So as you can see, I can just type in the search idle, and all the animation that has the idle are right there. And some of them have the idle animation with the block position on, crouching, or sword and shield idle, or sword and shield. You know, there's multiple of them. Now the one that I want is the one when there's the sword and the shield and it's not trying to block or attack. So that would be the man1 sword and shield idle, and there's a 1 and 2. Now you can always press play and see. So that's 1, that's the idle _1, and then idle _2. Now as you can see, there's multiple of them, and feel free to play with the one you want. I'm going to use the idle one, okay? So just this one is the first one that I'm going to use, and I'm going to go with that. Reason why I want to use this one is that it's the first one, but if I were to create a professional game, I would use them all and I would rotate them. So I would create a random, I would randomize which one I'm going to be using first, or you know, to give an animation, multiple animation, so that the player feels that it's a real person that does many things when it's idle. All right, having said so, take the man1 sword and shield idle, drag and drop this inside of your scene. And as soon as you do this, it already appears as an orange color, meaning that is the default character behavior. So if I go back to my game and I press play, you'll see that automatically it's going in the idle position, and we can see it. Now, something you probably want to do right now is take all the gear and create a new folder inside a new game object inside of your hierarchy. Right click and create empty and call it gear. You know, it's just temporary, so that we're going to take all the gear and put it inside of it. So take the sword, the shield, the helmet, and the shoulders, and put them inside of the gear. Drag and drop it inside, and then select the gear and uncheck it so that it's not visible anymore. We only see the character, just for you know, for the sake of seeing what we're doing. Save the scene just in case. Press play, and now you can see it's exactly what we want. It's the player in idle position. And there's one problem, it only plays once and it stops right there. So how do we fix this? Well, just select the idle position, the actual animation. So let's go and find it to man_1, and here under the idle, so that would be this one right here, sword and shield idle. Go under the inspector, and here under animation, make sure you have loop time, okay, and loop this. And now if you take a look at it, you also loop the pause so that it comes back to its original pause. And now make sure you apply this, click on apply and press play, and check this out. Now it's going to keep doing it. All right, as you can see, keeps doing it, and that's exactly what we want. We want the, you know, the player to seem like it's always active and doing something. All right, good. Now we want to add more animations, especially the walk animation. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go to the animator. Let's look at the walk animation here. Now there's multiple walk and strafe animation. I'm gonna go with the sword and shield walk under the man one, and I'm gonna drag and drop this here. All right, here it is. Now what I want to do here is that there's two ways to do that. You can do a blending, and we've seen this in depth in the character and animation, the other course, the one about creating models and animating them. So here I'm not going to go too much into details, but no, there's two different ways, by blending and by setting up variables. And we're going to use parameters. So I'm going to click on plus And here I'm going to add an integer. Okay, and here I'm going to call this one speed. All right, S-P-E-E-D. All right. And now I just need to make a transition from idle to walk and from walk to idle. How do we create transitions? Well, just right click on the orange entry, which is the idle position, make a transition, and now an arrow appear, and put the arrow on the sword and shield walk. And then click on this arrow, and now it becomes blue. As you can see, it was white. If I click on it, it becomes blue. And here on the inspector, what you need to change is the value that will make it change. So the condition is, the list is empty, click on plus, is when the speed, yes, because it's the variable recreated, is greater than 0. So yes, that is when the speed will be 1 and so on, then it transition. Now, what we want to do is go back from idle, from walk to idle. I'm going to click on the shield walk, right click, make transition, and the transition back to the sword and shield idle. And we're going to do this. Let's click on that transition when the condition is met that it's equal to 0. All right, so when it's 0, we're going back to idles, meaning that it's not moving anymore. All right, save this. And now, how are we going to control that? How are we going to control the speed? Well, we can control this through code, right? So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go back to MonoDevelop. And we need to set the speed value of the animator. And we do have already the animator here, so we can easily say that since we have the float H for the horizontal direction and V for the vertical, then horizontal is what we're going to be using here. I'm going to do animator dot set or set float, and the value of the animation would be, it would be the same value as any of these axes, whether the H-axis, horizontal or vertical. And depending on how you played your game or how you set it up, mine's going to be the V-axis. So V, vertical, yours might be H. So we want to set up the speed, which is the variable recreated, and I'm going to put V. All right, put a semicolon, save this. I wanted to tell you that an error that many people do is that they set floats sometimes on integers, or they set integer values like whole numbers on what we called floats. So make sure that if you have a float, set float. So you need to check what your speed is. Now I know that mine right now is a float, but sometimes I also create integers, and you might have done so. So go back to Unity and go inside of the animator, click on the speed and make sure that it's like, if it's 0.0, it's definitely a float. If it's just a 0, then it's only an integer. So make sure you do set int or set float. Like here I have set float, but I could also use set int, such as animator.setInt. Now, if I do set integers, this is not going to work because right now I have a float, but know that if you have an integer, that's what you need to use, this line. Now I'm going to comment it out because I don't need it. All right, so one or the other. Now let's go ahead and save that and take a look in Unity. I'm going to press play, and now if I press W, this should move, right? Let's go ahead and do that. Press W. Yep, it's actually, you guys see it? The animation is running. Now it's definitely coming back, so it's not exactly what I want, but definitely it's going in the right direction. All right, having said so, now we need to tweak this, and we're going to do that in the next lecture so that it looks a little bit better.